Hello everyone, what's up? I hope you all are good. My name is SAKSHI Yadav and a very warm welcome to all of you in today's discussion. So today I am going to talk about one topic, that is inflation. So today we will talk about what is inflation and what are the type of inflation and how can we measure it and what can be the effect of the inflation. So firstly we will start like what is inflation. So inflation is the persistent increase in the price level of a basket of commodities. This is inflation. Okay, and what type of inflation? So what are the type of inflation? So we can say the type of inflation is of two type. First is based on the rate and the second one is based on the causes. Okay, so what is the rate or what is the causes? So rates are like we can say moderating inflation, galloping inflation, and hyperinflation. Okay, so what is like moderate, galloping, or hyperinflation? So we will talk about like one by one. So moderate inflation is like when creeping and walking type of inflation. If we talk about like in single digit rate, it will okay or it will moderate. Like if we talk about single digit, so 4%, 5%, 7%, 9%, that kind of inflation is considered in the moderate inflation. And the second one is like galloping inflation. So galloping inflation is when the rate will become in the 2 digit or 3 digit, so it will consider in the galloping inflation. And the third one is hyperinflation. So hyperinflation is the astronomical rise in the rate. Okay, so what will be the example of hyperinflation? So hyperinflation is like we talk about the like 400%, 500%, 560, 79, something else. So this will consider in the hyperinflation. Okay, and the second type of inflation, that is based on the causes. So what are the causes? So causes can be like a bit of like supply side causes and the demand side causes. So supply side will be the cost push inflation. Okay, and the demand inflation will be like the demand pull inflation. Okay, so how can we say that the supply side is why cost push inflation? So you know what, like you generally observe the things when the market the something like raw material price increase or the labor wages increases and labor basis increases, and in like when we take loan, so interest on the loan also increases, and like taxes, government increases the taxes. So this will become the causes of the inflation. So why this? When the all the cost that we are incurring in the production, when the cost of production will increase, then automatically the market price of the cost also increases, then it will create the inflation in the market. So like we all say that the cost push inflation because of the intermediate cost or the raw material labor wages cost increases. That's why the cost of production increases, and then cost of production the market increases, then inflation. And the another side is demand side inflation. Okay, so in demand side, demand pull inflation. So how can like the demand why the demand inflation can occur? So by the demand, you know what, like when income increases of the person, when government give you a loan on cheaper interest, and when they reduce the taxes, so we can save a lot of money in our home. And another example we can say, when supply of the money increases in the economy, then it will create a demand pull inflation. Okay, and there are some other inflation as well. If we talk about like structural inflation, hoarding inflation, and cartelization, so these three inflation is also a type of inflation as well. So in structural inflation, what will happen, that when the economy of our country will weak, so at that time we faces the structural inflation. And in hoarding inflation is when like if someone store the needy community, the essential community, when someone hoard this or store this thing, so without any permission or without any limit, so this will create a hoarding inflation. Okay, and the third one is cartelization. Okay, so cartelization occur when producer or supplier, seller, they come together and form a group. So this will create a cartelization, and this is also one type of inflation that will occur in our country. Okay, so this thing is not good thing, and we have to aware about that kind of thing, like what kind of inflation is going on, structural or hoarding kind of inflation, or cartelization, or like demand pull or cost push inflation. So that kind of things we have to aware about that kind of things. And like what can be the measure of inflation? So there are two measure of inflation. One is WPI and second one is CPI. So you all are thinking about what is WPI and what is the CPI. So WPI is a wholesale price and inflation, and the second one is like CPI. So CPI is a consumer price inflation. So by this we can measure the inflation. So how can measure? So in WPI, measure inflation in the wholesale market. We measure the inflation in the wholesale market, and in WPI there is no inclusion of services. Okay, are you getting my point? So in WPI there is no inclusion of services, only goods are mentioned in the WPI and in wholesale market. So we will measure the wholesale product, wholesale goods in market. And the base year of WPI is the 2011 and 12. So this is the base year of the WPI. And if we talk about the CPI, so CPI is like measure inflation in the retail market, and the CPI include the goods and as well as services. Okay, and the base year of the CPI is 2012. Okay, so these are two type of measure that we can measure the inflation. Okay, and like what are the effect that can be possible after inflation? So the effect is like when you purchase something, like if we talk about this watch. So this watch we can purchase in 100 rupees earlier, but now this watch we have to give 150 rupees for this watch. So the purchasing power of money will reduce. So at the time of inflation, the effect will be like purchasing power reduces, and reduction in the real rate return as well. You know about the real rate return. So after inflation, these are some effect like reduction in the real rate return, and export also affected by this, and investment also affected by the inflation in our country. Okay, and like how to control inflation? How can we control our inflation in our country? So we can control inflation by the reduction in the supply of money. Okay, when we reduce the supply of money, so we can control the inflation in our country. And if we talk about when government reduces the expenditure in the economy, and the government reduces the income tax, reduces the government increases the income tax. So by this we can reduce the inflation. And when like we and I and you save the more money in our house, house, so this will also help in controlling the inflation when household starts saving more and more money. Okay, and when like increase the production as well, when you increase a lots of products, so this will also be use of money, so this will also reduce or control the inflation. Okay, so these are some like what is inflation, and what are the type of inflation, and what how can we measure inflation, and what are the effect of inflation, and how to control inflation. So today like we discussed all the factors related to inflation. So like I am repeating the definition of inflation. Like inflation is the persistent increase in the price level of the basket of commodities. Okay, so I hope that you all like will understand this, what is inflation, and what are the aspect about the inflation. So thank you.